Hi, I'm Louise Keeton. I'm Marketing Director with Downtown Ashland Association, here to teach you how to optimize Facebook and Instagram for your business. I'm sure you're looking at me and wondering why they allowed a child to come onto this screen and teach you about Facebook and Instagram. But actually, I am a grown up with decades of experience in these platforms and a really interesting journey of how I came to be in this place that I would love to share with you. So originally, I began as an actor. And as an actor, you have to learn how to be able to sell yourself as a product. And between going on auditions and traveling all over the world, I was really interested in these newfangled platforms called Facebook and Instagram. And so I learned skills that allowed me to function within these platforms. I became a photographer, I became a videographer, I became a writer, and I learned how to really socialize through a digital medium. Using these skills, I was able to create events and really move into my community and make an impact. And by doing so, I was picked up by the local PBS and NPR to join their digital team. And while I was there, I learned so much and was able to share what I learned at PBS TechCon as a presenter. I won Local That Works on local strategy, and I learned a lot about how to create community. By using these skills and talents, I was then picked up by Downtown Ashland Association, and this really reinforced my personal mission to create programming and lead marketing mentorships that reinforce our community and how to bring us together. And this has since led me to create more to create more social media and life coaching opportunities. I realized that social media is a very vulnerable space and that it is social. And just because you have that digital distance doesn't make it any more comfortable to show up authentically and vulnerably. And so I got my life coach certification, and I'm now using that information to inform how I'm approaching my content, as well as how I'm approaching marketing mentorship. And in realizing that, I have discovered that it's really important to create a safe space for yourself before you create content or even go onto these platforms. So first, I want to lead you through a little guided meditation. In this meditation, I hope to help you visualize how to enter digital spaces and have your voice heard over all of the other voices that show up in those platforms. So, I would like you to take a deep breath in, let it out. Take a deep breath in, let it out. Take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and let it out on a smile. Now, imagine that you are rising out of your form. Your spirit can see your form sitting there, and it sees how peaceful and in tune you are with this moment, and knows that it's safe to leave you for now to go on to this journey. So you rise above your body, out of this current space, out of this state, out of this country, out of the world, and up into the clouds. You see many beautiful clouds with many beautiful colors. But you notice one cloud with a tall building on it. So you float up to that cloud, and you stand on the building steps. You notice that the front door is wide open, so you go through the door. And once you're through the door, you see a long hallway. There are doors on either side, but you don't want to go through any of those doors. You're interested in the door right down the hallway. So you go right down that long corridor until you reach the door handle and you swing it open. And you discover a ballroom filled with people. There are balconies and windows, and all you see are faces, and all they're doing is speaking. And you want your voice to rise above all of those other voices. But you know that there are too many people for your one voice to be heard over all of them. So instead, you put your hand to your heart. Put your hand there now and imagine a light burning from your chest. That light is what inspires your work. Think about the work that you do and what you love about it. Feel that light grow out from your chest. Now think about something that you could talk about forever about your work. Watch that light grow even more and extend even further out from your chest. Think about what motivates you to do your work. What is it that makes your work so special? Watch that light grow even further, even stronger away from your chest. And now, imagine what you would like people to know about your work. And suddenly, that light that's been growing from your chest is reaching out into the crowd, and it's illuminating certain people in that crowd. Identify one of those people and go over to them. This person is your target audience. You can ask them anything you would like. Take this time to have a conversation with your target audience. Share with them all of the things that made your light grow. I'll give you a few minutes to consider this conversation with them. Cool. I'll just give them 60 seconds. We'll be good to go. Now that you've had this conversation, thank your target audience and start to retreat from the ballroom. Keep that light with you and go down the hallway, out of the building, off of the beautiful cloud, through the sky, back to earth, back to this country, back to this state, back to where you are, and you see your form sitting there so peaceful. And you know that you've gone on a very valuable journey today. So you enter back into your form, and when you're ready, take a deep breath in, let it out, and open your eyes for the next part of our presentation. Welcome back. Take a moment to consider what that experience was like for you. What did you see? What did you learn? And how could this be used in how you approach your digital content? Now, as we go through our presentation, we're going to start with some basics. We're going to ask ourselves, who are you? What do you want? Who wants what you got? And what will help? As an actor, I really love to use monologues to help me find the voice and the intention of who I am. So if I'm thinking about who I am as LouAffirms, my brand, I can use this monologue Mad Lib to help fill in some key bits of information I can use to fill out my brand. So if I'm looking at LouAffirms, I would say, I am LouAffirms. People know me for my impossible perkiness. They can trust me to affirm them with digital media and technology. And I could talk forever about the inherent right to experience joy all around us. And I'm happiest when I'm sharing that joy with others. Now you know a little bit about my brand and how I identify it through a monologue. You can apply this Mad Lib monologue to your brand. Who are you? Use this Mad Lib script format to fill in those blanks. What your name of your business is, your personality trait, your service, your how, your whatever you can talk about forever, and what you're happiest doing. Take a moment to fill that out. Now that you've come up with your own Mad Lib monologue of who you are, it's going to be a lot easier to figure out what you want, what you really, really want. So when you're looking at your content, you want to consider what it is you actually want to achieve with that content. Do you want to achieve engagement? Engagement often looks like followers, likes, comments, and your reach. Do you want to achieve sales? Or do you want to achieve traffic? Traffic often looks like traffic to your website, to your physical location, or to your event. So you can see from this content here, it falls into one of those three categories. I'd love you to look at this screen and see if you can guess which piece of content fits under which category. Take a moment to look at that. So as I'm sure you guessed, the very first piece of content was really focusing on sales. And we can tell that it's focusing on sales because of its compelling imagery that shows how you want your customer to feel in your product or using your product. It provides a clear call to action in the copy, and they were smart enough to use a link in their highlighted Instagram stories, which they probably had automatically upload to their Facebook, since Instagram feed doesn't allow you to add links within the piece of content itself. They also used SEO terms within their caption. So if a user is in their search bar and searching for any of those terms, their content would pop up. And they used those same SEO terms in up to 30 hashtags. And finally, they didn't add any text to the image itself. Instagram especially holds back content that has images with text on screen unless it's a video, which you can see in the engagement example of content. In the engagement example of content, you can see that they created a reel that used relatable content and recognizable imagery. We all knew that NSYNC saying it's gonna be May, and we understood that this content was not only about May, but something that we could find engaging. They used trending audio, and in this context, they did use text on screen because it was a video, and we know that a lot of users don't keep their sound on when they're viewing visual content. So they made sure that their users wouldn't have to use the audio version. They could still engage with this content by having that text on screen. And finally, the third piece of content exemplified how we can get customers to move into the spaces we'd like them to be. They did that by creating a compelling image, they used a compelling quote, and they provided that clear call to action in the comments and highlighted that where they wanted their audience to go in their stories and used those same SEO terms in their hashtags. So now that we know who we are, what we want, and how to create content that helps drive what we want, we have to ask, who is it that wants what we got? So I'm going back to my Mad Lib method, and we have a new script here that will help us define who our target audience is and what they sound like. So you can go back to your meditation and the conversation you had with your target audience, and then start to fill out these blanks. I created a Mad Lib monologue based off of LouAffirms, and this is what it sounds like for my brand. I am Logan. I'm a millennial mom with a love for all things beautiful. I've been struggling with my mental health. I really wish I had more time to access mental health care, and it feels like I don't know anyone who understands. Now you can use this exact same monologue to find your target audience. It looks like I am, add a filler name, I am add their life phase with a love for whatever it is they love. I've been struggling with fill in the blank. I really wish I had fill in the blank. It feels like fill in the blank. I'll give you a moment to fill in those blanks. Now you have the foundation you need to be making content and finding your audience. So it's not as easy as adding content onto your feed and hoping people find you. These are social platforms. You have to socialize. So one way to do that is by finding your people. Think about when you're on Facebook especially, where do these people gather? Facebook groups are really great for finding literal groups of people who are interested in what you are interested in talking about. And you can find this on Instagram by going to inspiration accounts. Find the other accounts that are talking about what you're talking about, see who's engaging with them, and start making friends. That brings us to our next bullet point. Who are they engaging with? When you're in these Facebook groups and you're looking at these audiences from the inspiration accounts, you can see who they are following and what they're doing well. So you can steal their good ideas and you become their friends. You can start creating content with them and collaborating with them, and then your reach grows even more. Look at how they speak. What kind of voice do they use when they're creating their content? And how is that engaging the audience that you ultimately want to have? What is it that your audience is asking? You can even Google it just by entering in some of your SEO terms questions will automatically appear in Google's feed, and you, as the expert in your work, can answer those questions with your content. And finally, think about what it is they're struggling with, because you have the answers to those struggles. You can be creating content that answers those questions and slates you as an expert for helping them solve those problems that they're struggling with. Finally, there are plenty of resources to help you make this content and find your people. I suggest looking at the technology that is around you. Really, all you need is a phone to be able to make a lot of this content and to be onto these platforms. But if you want to get a little extra fancy, I suggest you get a phone stand that you can carry around with you and you can use to prop up your phone while you're creating content on your adventures. I love a ring light, but in case you don't have a ring light, make sure you are facing direct and natural light. Microphones are always helpful, especially if your audience does turn on audio. We want to make sure that what they're hearing doesn't make them want to shut off the sound again. And finally, I really appreciate Adobe Suites. A lot of the editing tools you need to make this content is available through the platforms themselves, but I like to have a larger screen and more dedicated tools, and Adobe Suites has all of the tools that I need to make the content that I like to create. And also consider your friends as resources, and you have a lot more friends than you can think of. You have your colleagues, you have other influencers who are trying to do what you do or are interested in what you do. Reaching out to them and making content with them can lower a lot of your lift and help expand your reach. You also have professional partners. There are other people who do what you do and want to collaborate with you. And then professionals. Workshops like these help connect you to other people who are interested in doing what you do and interested in supporting you. So go ahead and network and make some professional friends who can help you make what you want to make. And finally, there are different resources you can be using to get more information on how these platforms are developing. Two of my favorites are Social Media Examiner and Social Media Today. They have newsletters that they send on a daily basis, keeping you apprised of how these platforms are evolving so that you can be making content that's really on the cutting edge. Now, there are about a million tips and tricks I could give you to really amplify your content. But to start, here are a few that you can be using right away. First of all, make sure you keep it consistent. That means setting a schedule for when you release your content and sticking to it. You'll often hear you want to post while your audience is most active, and while that does have an advantage to it, a lot of the times they're active when you are active, when you're trying to live your regular human life instead of your digital life. So we want to respect that and look at your schedule and determine when it's best for you to be making content and when it's best for you to be distributing that content. And then you set your schedule. Then you make sure you show up at that time regularly, and that will help get your audience on board with your content. And make sure you use SEO words in your bio, your title, and your content. As I said before, this helps your audience find you based off of the words that you're using and what they're searching. Make sure you keep it cute. All these platforms reward aesthetically pleasing feeds, and it's really helpful to use colors and images that reflect your brand. So regardless of how your audience is finding your content, as soon as they see it, they can recognize it as yours. And then use features to highlight your work. In Instagram, they allow you to highlight your Instagram stories, and that's a really great place to show where your content is best served. For instance, on LouAffirms, my first highlight is all of the things that I affirm, And then my title points towards more focused pieces of my content that my audience can engage with beyond 24 hours when stories generally disappear. And finally, keep it kind. Staying on brand with your engagement in comments, likes, and who you follow allows your audience to see what it is you value, and it makes them feel as though they can really connect with you on a social level. Respond to messages and comments quickly. That way they know that you're actually engaged with them and you want to be having these conversations with them. Make sure you use full sentences when you're commenting, not just emojis. One, if you're only using emojis, the algorithm will assume that you're a bot and either hide your comment or limit your ability to comment. Secondly, it limits your opportunity to be making a genuine connection with a potential customer. So use a full sentence and really create a conversation with your audience. And finally, don't sell, just talk. I know it's tempting, especially as a business owner, to come on social platforms and want to talk about your product. But these are social platforms. You're coming there to socialize, and so is your audience. So figure out a way to use your brand voice to have a conversation outside of selling. Thank you so much for being with me during this presentation. I hope that you will stay in touch by using these QR codes, by following my Instagram, and you can download this presentation just using that QR code over there. Thank you so much for taking this time, and I hope to see you at more Downtown Ashland Association events and workshops in the future.